about smart cities, but they're pretty vague about how many challenges were there regarding security. Like we just heard a minute ago, run your car, turn on your lights. And the United Nations gentleman talked about lack of identity and the idea that identity key is very critical. I feel this is a very critical area beyond what biometrics can do today. From Park, we heard that a lot of very funny IoT silly ideas. I thought that was very well presented. But it is really the device to the service is what it's all about, and that's where the security holes are. And we heard earlier another example about autonomous driving being part of the smart cities, part of the IoT world, and you know, if you're not driving your car, if I can drive it for you, you might not be happy. So, given that, I'd like to given that as sort of a prelude, I'd like each panelist, I'll start all the way with Shiva, and have say a short statement about smart cities and IoT, and then we can open the floor to the discussion with the audience. Shiva, please.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shiva Mathapathis. Thanks for the nice introduction. So when it comes to you mentioned we need to talk about the smart city and the IoT. So in terms of the smart city, where we focus or what I believe is, solving some of the initiative, what all the cities have taken. It could be your sustainability or transportation, or it could be your smart grid. So what we have been focusing is to work with the NIST. Those of you who don't know, it's National Institute of Software Technologies. They are basically providing some kind of an incubations, and we provide smart city solutions. And we did 3 projects in terms of IoT. When it comes to the IoT, it was waste management, flood monitoring, and the third one is the air quality monitoring. So IoT is definitely an important parameter to me, coming from an electrical engineering background. So it's a combination of sensor technologies, edge computing, and the cloud computing. So all 3 components forms an IoT, and it's playing a very, very important role in solving any smart city applications. Without these 3, we don't have really a smart city case there. And the third piece is definitely the main topic is the security. Yes, security is the one area which I feel we need to do a lot of stuff on that. So we have really not solved the problem, especially when I do the research on that. So today I'm here and looking forward to hear from the comments from the panelists as well as from the audience here. Thank you.
My name is Ron Victor. I am the founder and CEO of IoTium. We are a network infrastructure software company. That's what we are. When I look at smart city, I think of threats. The first thing that comes to me is security threats. That's every endpoint that's going to be connected is an access point for a hack. And while nobody wants to hack a light bulb, what they want to do is using the hack, they want to be able to proliferate onto other networks that will help you get point of sale data. A lamppost is going to carry a smart light, it's going to carry a CO2 monitor, it's going to carry a parking meter. Where do you swipe your credit card, you think? So if you get into the light bulb, what else do you think you can access? So when you look at smart cities, you have to think about a couple of issues. The 3 issues that we as a company focus on are very fundamentally deployment complexity. How do you deploy a patch to 700,000 cameras that get hacked? What do? Is there a human being present to press the update key? What people don't understand a lot in this whole methodology of smart city, IoT, etc. is you and me are used to getting Microsoft wants to do a patch on your computer, press, and you're going to patch it. The machine, there's nobody to patch it. So how are you going to patch that? You all heard about the Murai attack. 700,000 cameras got hacked, the DDoS attack took place. How do you make sure a DDoS attack is never going to happen? How do you isolate the parking meter data from the CO2 monitoring data? Lastly, and we can go on, but I'm going to stop here. When you want to push a new app, everybody's talking about edge compute. How are you going to deploy edge compute? If you want deployed a camera across 700,000 locations, and tomorrow 18 departments want access to that video. One wants to run encryption, one wants to run facial recognition, another wants to run number plate recognition. How are you going to keep deploying an appliance every time that has to happen? How do you scale this? So before we talk about all this great stuff that we're going to do, think about the deployment complexity at scale. And that's the problem that we as a company solve.
That's an excellent point. By the way, my screen right here says I need to pay $500,000.
Yeah. Yeah, it's press the screen to continue. I already pressed it. So, totally agree with what you just said. That's also a reason I mentioned about cybersecurity, the first biggest market we saw after we entered into this era of Internet of Everything. And we talk about smart city. One thing I really want to jump into is with the relationship between smart city and the self-driving system. Because self-driving system has become such a hot topic right now. But actually for self-driving, there's two different stages. The first stage is we have human drive car and car drive car happening at the same time. So we have higher standard and requirement for the self-driving system to be playing an important role. But to the end, the second stage, we'll have most of car, even all the car, being driven by the system. At that time, actually the core part, the critical element is from the smart city. Whether city is smart enough to have the smart like traffic control system, data collect system, and they could arrange the car to go to different lane, different direction, increase the whole efficiency. So I think the trend of the smart city is not only about the building or smart building or collecting information, it's also about how to make the whole commute more efficiency, and it's very important. Early this year, we have the chief innovation officer from San Jose mayor office joining our annual meeting, talk about the relationship between business model innovation and the policymaker. So we have this discussion, very interesting, that they said, oh, we're also trying to learn more about what's happening with technology because it will help us make a better decision at our position. For example, we have planned to maybe build a parking structure in the downtown area. But if the self-driving gonna happen pretty fast, do we still need a parking space in such an expensive downtown area? If we could be able to collect lots of information in the near future, whether we still need to deploy lots of the camera on the streets rather than maybe we could use a camera from people's phone, people's car. So that's a very interesting discussion. So I think how to connect better with technology is not only the thing we care about as an investor or as an entrepreneur. As a policymaker, it's also important. And if we want to make the smart city happen, it's also required support from the government and from the facility.
Hello, my name is Ted Kraus. I am the investment director at TechCode US. TechCode is a global incubator, accelerator, and venture fund. Our headquarters is in Beijing. We have offices in China, Korea, Finland, Germany, Israel, and the US. I work out of the Mountain View headquarters, and we just opened an office in Boston. We focus on AI, EdTech, digital healthcare, and new materials. And we try to cultivate a global access to startup financing through our venture funds and our industry partnerships. For purposes of today, I'll use the use case of autonomous driving and autonomous vehicles, like some of my colleagues up here just said. That fits into our AI accelerator model. It fits into our AI thesis. We want to work with companies that are solving security problems in autonomous driving. And so my job isn't to get up here and to tell you guys what I think the problems are in the field, but it's to listen to what the startups are actually suggesting. Look at their solutions and figure out if it's a risk mitigated deal for TechCode to get involved in, to invest in. So if anyone wants to talk about that with me later, we can.
Well, we've heard some interesting things, including my screen. I've got to pay them 200,000 euros. But we have a lot of technologies coming along. You brought up the smart cities. The IEEE is pushing this initiative for 5G as being a solution strategy for smart cities. I don't see how it helps with security. Do you have any ideas?
Good. Yeah, like I said in my earlier remarks, security is the one area which we had to do a lot of things on that. And you mentioned about the IEEE. Yeah, when you have the security, there are three components. Again, I go back to my initial thoughts: is the sensor itself, is an edge computing, and the second one is the cloud computing. Yes, when it comes to the security, anywhere the hackers can come and hack on the cloud side. We have a solutions and we can still address on that. But when it comes to the real hardware side, we cannot do anything. So that is why when I do in the standards on the security, so we keep talking that better you address at the hardware level. That's what I feel. That it's like putting in hardware lock. Instead of solving the problem with the software. If you put it on the encryption level and the hardware, then it makes a lot of sense to solve these security issues. Yes, it's still a lot of gray areas we need to address on the security issue.
It's interesting, since with the TPM, the Chinese didn't like the encryption in there. But you have raised a problem that I encountered a lot when I was at Intel, and that is you've got to patch the BIOS, or you patch your phone, you patch whatever, but your number is too small. 700,000? No, we sell 700,000 PCs a year. We got to be talking and we need to be talking in the multi-billions to get the patch out. Moreover, if you're like my spouse, I don't like those updates. They always mess up my system. I don't want to push yes. and if you're the company that owns the problem, you really don't want to tell them why. Does Microsoft say, we have a big bug in our system, please fix it right away or you're going to get lost? No. Oh, please do an update. We're not going to tell you what the problem is. There's a security problem. Just push yes. So I think you have an excellent point of how do we scale security updates when in the IoT space, we're not talking about 700,000. We're talking about 700 billion. When you get into all the devices connected to cities, to your television set, which, by the way, you gave the light bulb example. Television set's a better example because Samsung was watching what people were doing in their living room. Is the very
Actually, I want
this
to.
television is watching you at the moment.
Yes, we invest a company doing that. We have a company called Vision. It's a computer vision company. What they're doing is actually they got multi-million revenue already as an early stage company. Their technology enable all the TV you're watching at home. They're gonna collect data whether there's a man or woman watching the TV, whether your eye attention is on the screen or off the screen, whether you're smiling or you're crying watching this show, and then they're gonna personalize on the advertisement delivery, and they're gonna personalize on the content delivery.
Video Google.
But it's happening. It's already happening, and most people did not realize. And we're the evil investor already investing into that
That's
technology.
my question to you, is that what do the investors think about this? Because they're breaking privacy rules all over the place, but they actually don't care. They just want to make money.
No, really. That's a misunderstanding people have about the investor and also technology innovation. When we evaluate the technology, for example, this computer vision technology, we also invest in another company doing tracking technology. So basically, their technology enables as long as you have a cell phone, smartphone, you connect to the 3G, 4G network. You don't need to download anything. You don't connect to Wi-Fi or Bluetooth. They're gonna detect you. So as long as you enter into a space, and they're gonna know your location.
Worried about the transport. Transport's all dead. Worry about once you're on the net, you're on the net. Your car's on the net, phone's on the net, your TV's on the net, everything is on the net. And it doesn't make you switch network anymore.
Yes, that's the technology itself. But what the right founder and the capital is doing is we try to find a way to control the technology. For example, for computer vision technology, they are able to know exactly how old, for example, you're much senior guy, etc. But they try to make the data more general. For example, there's 200,000 people are watching the game. Only 60% are men. Only 40% have the eye attention on the screen. So privacy is very important because otherwise the business won't be sustainable. But meanwhile, sure, some technology company may not really protect it very well. But meanwhile, as an investor, we need to control the risk. When we invest choose company to invest, we always make sure it's a cool technology and has big potential. Meanwhile, don't break the privacy protocol.
Well, if you bring it back to smart city for a second, the point that I want to leave everybody here with is don't think about a system in isolation. We've had so many cases where somebody would say, it's only my HVAC system. Why would somebody want to hack into my HVAC system? Well, nobody gives a rat's behind about your HVAC system. What they do want is they want to use that as an entry point into your ERP system, into your point of sale system, into something else. So when people say, if you look at security in the smart home, why would somebody want to hack into my washer? Well, they don't want to hack into your washer. But your washer is connected to your in-house wireless network on which you type your credit card number when you shop on Amazon.
Yeah.
That's what they want to get at. So never think about this as, oh, I have secured my washer, so I'm cool. When you look at security, look at three things. Protecting an asset, making sure that the asset is never visible to the internet, number one. Number two, securing the data transport, which means ensuring that data from a particular data source can only reach the data sink it's supposed to. And that is only possible if you reside at both ends. What that means is no DDoS attack is ever possible. I don't know if you know what a denial of service attack is, but it's when somebody hacks into your machine and starts doing things that you don't want it to do. And then the third thing is isolation of every stream. So you think about this holistically, this problem is a very, very, very big problem in smart city. It's a very big opportunity, and one has to then look at it holistically when you're looking at this completely.
It has been a big problem well before we got into the number of devices of smart city and IoT. I would like to see whether anyone in the audience has an explicit question for the team here. Okay, the gentleman up there.
Yes, so you just made a comment about being on both ends. How can you paint a scenario where that makes sense?
Yes.
Where it's practicable?
Yes. And very good. And we do this with we are a network infrastructure company, so for all our customers, we're at both ends. And what that means is the same piece of software that's residing at the data destination as a virtual machine is residing at the data source as an operating system. So it's the same piece of software. So if your data destination is a public-private hybrid cloud or a public-private hybrid data center, there we are residing as on VMware or OpenStack as a VM. So that is the entry point into the cloud. At the exit point of the factory, which is the entry into the WAN, we are residing as an operating system because there's no virtualization layer available. So you will look at it this, we start where the WAN starts, we end where the WAN ends, and we're at both ends. And this is completely locked and controlled, irrespective of the inherent physical infrastructure.
So that implies that there's some encryption that goes on from endpoint to endpoint?
There's multiple layers. It's very interesting you're talking about this because there are 7 layers of security. To talk about what he just said, you start with hardware root of trust, tamper-proof modules. First of all, on the gateway, to make sure that your certificates and keys are not hacked. Secure managed OS on top of that to make sure that it's completely patch managed. Firewall to protect the asset. No secure tunnel from source to sink. Complete data isolation. Secure layer in the cloud before you get your APIs out, and then security in the cloud. So that's the way you look at the whole stack.
Back to isolated model. It's a little security above.
So, my name is Nagesh, and thank you for the discussion. I view this topic, I have a comment and a question. It's one thing to almost get scared, correct? Because this is not the solution that you solve in a day or a month or even a year. It's a cat and mouse game. It's an odyssey. So I want to ask the panelists, people have to start somewhere, right? Cities have to start somewhere. You cannot assume security will ever be solved because it will never be solved. Something new will come up, right? So what is your suggestion and a blueprint for the cities so that they get started? They start seeing the rewards being greater than the risk as they take this journey.
I can give you a quick thing though. We are commercially deployed in a whole bunch of buildings, factories, refineries, exactly solving this problem. To us, a city is just another, it could be, a city is a group of buildings, and then you build it from there. So there's what one has to realize categorically, everybody thinks greenfield. Think brownfield. 99% of the world is brownfield, old stuff that's been around 50 to 60 years, that's mission critical.
Worse than that, it will be around for the next 50 years. This is the real problem. Particularly many of the control systems, most of your automobiles, there are published papers you can read starting 4 or 5 years ago that go up to 2016 cars about how to brake in. And once you get into the main bus, your automobile, you can get not just the infotainment, you can control your ignition, you can control the brakes, you can run the whole thing. You can do the same thing in an airplane, but they're making it a little bit more difficult there.
But there's no reason to not start. I'm agreeing 100% with you. The problem has been solved to a certain extent today, but you just have to go about it sensibly, that's all. There's no reason to say, oh, the security is the only thing, therefore I'm not going to do it. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, the fun thing about security is that it's a permanent job. You get to be a terrorist, and you tell everybody about all the bad things, and finding solutions, most of them don't work. And then you also have the inherent problem that you mentioned, which is that even though it does work for 2% of the market, the rest of the market's old junk and it doesn't work anymore, and they don't want to replace it. Or they don't have the money to replace it.
No, but that's where retrofit comes in. You can. Go ahead.
Right. Yeah, maybe I could like to add to that questions, having experience working with the smart city, 3 cities. So one thing, when you see the smart city projects or an IoT projects, there are 3 departments which we need to work, mainly the core department. One is the policy maker, where they make the policies. And the second one is the administrative, where they have to manage this. And the third one is the basically, kind of a technical technology team, So the thing what I am seeing missing is that the smart city, there has to be some technical team. They have to work in tandem with, you mentioned about the 5G, the IEEE standard buddy, or your Open Mobile Alliance standard, or your ITU standard. So they need to start working with them, understand what exactly is the security items, what exactly is the solutions to that, and start implementing in a gradual, because they need to graduate slowly on that. Today what's happening is, okay, this is available, okay, now start implementing in the smart city. So probably one person can involve in the security then.
Yeah, I just want to mention that I see, particularly for research community and from the IEEE community, there's so many of, this is a neat idea, and they, later on when somebody says, oh, this is a major security hole, they say, oh, let's patch it. And that has been the philosophy for product development across most products, except unless you're a security company, for the last century. And that's an inherent problem that has to be dealt with. So if you get into innovation or starting new business, first item is think security. Yeah. I believe we've overspent our time by 15 minutes, so we'll be around for later discussion, and we'll take it from there. I want to thank my panelists very much.
Thank you.